The millionaire's laugh echoed through Linda's diner when he pointed at the waitress's worn leather boots and said loud enough for everyone to hear. "Did you get those from a garbage dump, or do they pay you so little you can't afford decent shoes?" What Marcus Caldwell didn't know was that the quiet waitress refilling his coffee was Riley Phoenix Cross, wife of the Iron Riders MC president and the woman 60 bikers called their queen. And the boots he was mocking? Her late father's. A Vietnam veteran who'd worn them on his Harley for 30 years before passing them down to his daughter with his dying breath. In the next 20 minutes, Marcus Caldwell would learn that some people command respect without saying a word, and that insulting the wrong waitress in the wrong diner can change your life forever. I'm telling you this story because when Riley's husband walked into that diner with 59 brothers behind him after getting her one-word text, disrespected. A millionaire real estate developer learned that money can't buy you immunity from consequences when you've crossed a line you didn't know existed. By sunset, Marcus Caldwell's arrogance would cost him a business deal worth millions. His reputation would be shattered across social media. And he'd be begging forgiveness from a waitress whose boots were worth more in character than his entire net worth in cash. But first, you need to understand who Riley Cross was before she became Phoenix, and why a room full of dangerous men would ride across state lines for a woman who'd never asked them for anything. Riley Cross had been waitressing at Linda's Diner in Reno, Nevada for 6 years. She worked the early shift, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., serving truckers, locals, and the occasional tourist who wandered off the highway looking for real coffee and homemade pie. She was 34 years old, wore her dark hair in a simple ponytail, and had the kind of quiet competence that made customers feel taken care of without her ever saying much. She wasn't flashy, didn't wear makeup, didn't flirt for tips, but she commanded respect anyway. What most customers didn't know was that Riley was married to Jake Reaper Cross, president of the Iron Riders Motorcycle Club, one of the most respected MCs in the western United States. 60 members across 3 chapters. Men who'd ridden together through hell and back. Riley didn't advertise her connection. Didn't wear her wedding ring at work because she'd lost too many tips from men who thought married waitresses weren't worth flirting with. Didn't talk about her husband's club or her role in it. She just did her job. Poured coffee. Served eggs. Smiled politely. Went home. But to the Iron Riders, Riley wasn't just Reaper's wife. She was Phoenix, their queen. The woman who'd patched up knife wounds in her kitchen when hospitals meant questions. The woman who'd talked brothers out of prison sentences with a single phone call to the right lawyer. The woman who'd organized charity rides that fed 1,000 homeless veterans every Thanksgiving. She'd earned her road name the hard way, by rising from the ashes of a childhood that would have broken most people and becoming the backbone of a brotherhood that would die for her. And the boots she wore to work every day, those were her father's. Staff Sergeant William Cross, Marine Corps, Vietnam veteran, dead 3 years from lung cancer. He'd given them to her 2 weeks before he died. "These boots walk me home from hell," he'd told her, his voice weak. "They'll walk you anywhere you need to go." She'd worn them every day since. Marcus Caldwell walked into Linda's Diner at 7:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, and you could tell within 30 seconds that he was someone who'd never been told no in his life. Mid-40s, expensive suit, Rolex that cost more than Riley's annual salary. He had the kind of face that came from good genetics and better plastic surgery, all sharp angles and professional teeth. He was in Reno to close a real estate deal worth $12 million. A luxury condo development that would displace 200 low-income families. But Marcus didn't think about things like that. He thought about profit margins and return on investment. He took a booth near the window without waiting to be seated, pulled out his phone, and immediately started a video call with someone, speaking loud enough that the whole diner could hear about his game-changing deal. Riley approached with a coffee pot and a menu. "Good morning. Coffee to start." Marcus waved her off without looking up. "Just bring it, and I'll have the eggs Benedict. Make sure the hollandaise isn't too thick." "We don't have eggs Benedict," Riley said politely. "We have a Western omelet that's really good, or..." "Then why is this place even open?" Marcus finally looked at her, his eyes scanning her uniform. The simple black dress, the white apron, the worn leather boots that had seen better days. "Jesus, do they not pay you people enough to buy decent work shoes?" Riley's jaw tightened, but her voice stayed level. "I'll give you a minute to look at the menu." She turned to walk away. "Hey, waitress." Marcus's voice cut across the diner. "I asked you a question. Did you get those boots from a garbage dump, Or do they pay you so little you can't afford to look professional? The diner went quiet. Conversations stopped. Forks paused halfway to mouths. Riley turned back slowly. Her face was calm, but something had shifted in her eyes, something hard and unyielding. "These boots," she said quietly, "belonged to my father. He wore them for 30 years. They're worth more than anything you're wearing." Marcus laughed, a sharp, condescending sound. "Sentimental value isn't the same as actual value, sweetheart. Maybe if you spent less time being attached to garbage and more time improving yourself, you wouldn't be serving coffee at your age." Riley didn't respond. She just walked to the counter, set down the coffee pot, and pulled out her phone. She typed one word: disrespected. Then she added the diner's address and hit send. The message went to a group chat with 60 members. All of them iron riders. All of them men who'd sworn an oath to protect their queen. Across Reno, phones buzzed. In garages and warehouses and living rooms, bikers looked at their screens and their expressions changed. Reaper was working on a carburetor in his shop when his phone vibrated. He read the message, read it again, and his jaw tightened so hard his teeth hurt. He made one call. Church. Linda's diner. Now. All chapters. Church meant club meeting. All chapters meant everyone. Riley went back to work like nothing had happened. She refilled coffee cups, took orders, served breakfast. Marcus continued his video call, occasionally making more comments about the quaint little diner and its unfortunate staff. He ordered eggs and hash browns and ate while typing on his laptop, treating Riley like she was invisible every time she refilled his coffee. At 8:23 a.m., the first bike pulled into the parking lot. Then another. Then 5 more. Then 20. By 8:35, there were 60 motorcycles parked outside Linda's diner in perfect formation. Chrome glinting in the morning sun, leather in patches, and the unmistakable presence of men who'd come for a reason. The rumble of 60 Harley-Davidsons made the windows rattle. Conversations in the diner stopped. Customers turned toward the parking lot. Marcus looked up from his laptop, annoyed. What the hell is that noise? Riley was pouring coffee at the next table. She didn't even glance toward the window. That would be my family. You're what? The door opened and Jake Reaper crosswalked in first. 6'4", 250 pounds of muscle and ink and controlled fury. Salt and pepper beard, dark eyes, leather vest covered in patches that told the story of 20 years on the road. President Patch. Original member. Enforcer. Behind him came 59 more bikers, filling the diner like a tide of leather and purpose. They didn't say anything. They just spread out, lining the walls, standing near booths, creating a presence so heavy the air felt thick. Reaper walked straight to Riley, put one hand gently on her shoulder, kissed her forehead. You okay, baby? His voice was soft, meant only for her. I've fine. Riley squeezed his hand. Just a customer who doesn't understand manners. Which one? Riley glanced toward Marcus's booth. Marcus had gone pale, his expensive suit suddenly looking like costume jewelry in a room full of real men. Reaper turned, looked at Marcus. Waited. You the one who disrespected my wife. Reaper's voice was quiet. Dangerously quiet. Marcus's mouth opened. Closed. His hand moved toward his phone like he was thinking about calling someone. Tank, the club's sergeant-at-arms, stepped forward. 6'2", 280 pounds, arms like tree trunks. I wouldn't do that if I were you. I was just, Marcus stammered. I made a comment about her shoes. I didn't know. You didn't know she was my wife, Reaper finished. So you thought it was okay to mock her? To insult her? To make her feel small in front of a room full of people? It was just a joke. It wasn't a joke. Riley's voice cut through the room, calm and clear. She walked over to their booth, stood beside her husband. You insulted my father's boots. You called me unprofessional. You implied I was worthless because I'm a waitress. That wasn't a joke. That was cruelty disguised as humor. Marcus looked around the diner, at 60 bikers watching him, at customers who'd stopped eating to witness what happened next, at the owner Linda behind the counter with her arms crossed and a satisfied smirk on her face. I apologize, Marcus said quickly. I'm sorry. I didn't mean anything by it. Yes, you did, Reaper said. Men like you always mean it. You just don't usually have to face consequences. He pulled out a chair, turned it backward, and sat down across from Marcus. The casual gesture was somehow more intimidating than if he'd been standing. Here's what's going to happen, Reaper said. You're going to stand up. You're going to apologize to my wife properly. Not because you're scared, but because you understand you were wrong. Then you're going to pay your bill, leave a tip that shows respect, and walk out of here. And you're never coming back. This diner is off limits to you. Forever. Marcus stood on shaking legs. His face was red. Whether from embarrassment or fear, it was hard to tell. He looked at Riley. Really looked at her for the first time. "I'm sorry," he said, and his voice cracked. "I was cruel. I said things I shouldn't have. Your boots, your father's boots, I had no right to comment on them. You didn't deserve that. I'm sorry." Riley nodded slowly. "Apology accepted. But understand something, Marcus. I've been a waitress for 6 years. Before that, I was a nurse. Before that, I put myself through college while raising my little brother after our mom died. I've worked every day of my life since I was 14 years old. These boots remind me where I come from. They remind me that dignity isn't about what you wear or how much money you make. It's about how you treat people." She took a step closer. "You're a millionaire. You've probably never worried about paying rent or choosing between groceries and gas. But that doesn't make you better than me. It just makes you luckier. And luck runs out when you forget kindness." Marcus nodded, his eyes wet. "You're right. I'm sorry." He pulled out his wallet with trembling hands, left $300 on the table for a $15 breakfast, and walked toward the door. Tank stepped aside to let him pass. So did the other bikers, creating a path. But before Marcus reached the exit, Reaper spoke one more time. "One more thing." Marcus turned. "You're in Reno to close a real estate deal. Luxury condos displacing low-income families. I know the property. I know the developer. And I know 3 of your major investors." Marcus's face went white. "By this afternoon, those investors will know what you did today. They'll know you insulted a veteran's daughter over her father's boots. They'll know you mocked a working woman trying to make an honest living. And they'll decide whether they want their names associated with someone like you." Reaper smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "Consequence, Marcus. That's what happens when you forget people are people." Marcus Caldwell left Linda's diner and drove straight to his hotel. He tried calling his business partners. 2 didn't answer. The 3rd told him they needed to reconsider the partnership. By noon, the story had hit social media. Someone in the diner had recorded the whole thing. The insult, the biker's arrival, the apology. It went viral in hours. Millionaire mocks waitress's boots, learns she's married to biker gang president. The video was shared 50,000 times. News outlets picked it up. Marcus's company's phone lines were flooded with angry calls. His investors pulled out of the deal by 3 p.m. His business partners issued a statement distancing themselves. His wife called from their home in San Francisco, asking what the hell he'd done. By sunset, Marcus Caldwell's $12 million deal was dead. Riley finished her shift at 2 p.m. like always. Wiped down tables, counted her tips, said goodbye to Linda. The bikers were still in the parking lot, sitting on their bikes, waiting. Reaper was leaning against his Harley, arms crossed, watching the door. When Riley walked out, his whole face softened. "You didn't have to do all that," Riley said, walking into his arms. "Yes, I did." Reaper kissed the top of her head. "Nobody disrespects you. Not in my town. Not anywhere." Tank walked over, grinning. "That guy's career is over." 3 investors pulled out. His business partners are scrambling. He's done. Riley shook her head. "I didn't want to ruin his life. I just wanted him to understand." "He understands now," Smoke said quietly from his bike. "Sometimes people need consequences to learn empathy." Riley looked down at her boots. Worn leather, scuffed and faded, carrying 3 decades of memories. Her father walking into hell and back. Her own journey from poverty to stability. "Dad would have laughed," she said. "He used to say, 'Phoenix, never let anyone make you feel small. You're bigger than their cruelty.'" "Smart man," Reaper said. "Raised a smart daughter." 3 weeks later, Marcus Caldwell sent a letter to Linda's diner addressed to Riley Cross. Inside was a check for $10,000 made out to the Veterans Memorial Fund and a handwritten note. "Mrs. Cross, I've spent the last 3 weeks thinking about what happened. I lost a business deal. I lost partners. I lost respect. But I gained something more important, a lesson I should have learned decades ago. You were right. Dignity isn't about money. It's about how you treat people. I'm donating to veterans in honor of your father and the boots he passed down to you. I hope someday I can look in a mirror and see someone worthy of wearing shoes half as meaningful as yours. With deepest respect and regret, Marcus Caldwell. Riley read the letter twice, then tucked it into her locker at the diner. She didn't forgive him, not completely. But she acknowledged that he'd tried to learn. And that was something. The Iron Riders still came to Linda's diner every Sunday for breakfast. 60 bikers filling the tables, ordering eggs and hash browns and coffee, leaving tips that kept Linda's business thriving. And Riley still wore her father's boots to work every day, worn leather that had walked through hell and come out stronger. Because that's what the boots represented. Not poverty, not struggle, survival, dignity, the refusal to let cruelty define you. Marcus Caldwell learned that lesson too late to save his deal. But he learned it. And sometimes, that's all you can ask. The Iron Riders learned something too, that their queen didn't need them to fight her battles. She was strong enough on her own. But she'd never be alone. Because family shows up. Brotherhood means something. And when someone disrespects the woman 60 men call their queen, consequence comes on 2 wheels. Riley Phoenix still waitresses at Linda's diner. Still serves coffee with a quiet smile. Still wears her father's boots. And if you ever walk into that diner and think about mocking someone's shoes, remember this story. Remember that you never know who you're talking to. You never know what those worn boots have walked through. You never know whose queen you're disrespecting. And you definitely don't know who's one text message away. Some lessons come easy. Others arrive with the rumble of 60 Harleys and the weight of consequence you never saw coming. Choose kindness.